And we're live. Welcome back to the Social Kick Podcast. I'm Brian Lundquist. We got a full crew today. Dr. John Mullen, Luke Paddington, Justin Wynn, and a special guest today, Amy Bilquist. Amy is a USA national teamer, Cal Berkeley standout, 2019 national champion in the 100 backstroke, and freestyle and backstroke specialist. So, Amy, it's a pleasure to have you. Cheers, and welcome to the Social Kick Podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on and learning what you guys are all drinking right now.
Well, Speaking of that, thanks for the prompt. Well done. So I'm trying a new one. This is the Hermitage Brewery. I'm really into session IPAs right now. This one's called the Crusher. And so I got some friends that aren't into IPAs, but it sucks because every time I try to bring them a beer, that's all I have in my fridge. So I don't know. Anyway, session IPAs are the one for me right now. Amy, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm not right now, but I have a few White Claws chilling. We'll see how the night goes, see what's on Netflix, and pop a few claws probably.
What's White Claws?
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what White Claw is?
You gotta come over. We got Marlene drink. What's your favorite flavor, Amy?
Oh my goodness.
So I was like a big black cherry advocate, and then I tried. There was like a lemon flavor, or there was a lemon, and I'm a big lemon fan, so that was easily the winner for me.
Done.
Mullen, what are you drinking?
I'm the opposite of you right now, so I like the IPAs as well, but I am all out and avoiding stores. So I am drinking a Pacifico, and then I have a few things on deck: Lagunitas Ale. We'll just keep it there to keep my reputation up.
So for those that we never talked about this, we usually hang out at John's house where this whole thing started. And John has the beer fridge that just collects everyone's leftovers. So anytime you bring a six pack over, every once in a while, you just take a withdrawal from the piggy bank because you put into it enough times. So I think that's what John's doing right now. You're drinking all beer that people bought you.
Peanut butter stout, not tonight for the peanut butter stout.
Justin, what are you drinking?
Well, I've been watching a lot of basketball highlights, so I'm drinking a Modelo because every time you walk into Oracle Arena back in the day, there's always Modelo. So can't go wrong with that.
Oh man, it's Oracle no more though. Luke, what are you drinking?
Yeah. I'm still on this White Claw thing. It's a brand by Mark Anthony brand.
You don't know what White Claw is?
I'm telling you, I don't know what this is.
Hey, wait, is White Claw a segue into Tiger King, or am I off on that?
Ooh. Not an official sponsor.
Ignore that.
I'm drinking a Venezuelan rum. It's called Diplomatico. It's aged. It's not bad at all, so I'm going to drink it on the rocks for now. But Diplomatico.
Well, I'm glad it's not bad.
It's not bad. Yeah, I love my rum, so.
Nice plug. Yeah, I miss drinking rum with you. Well, I'll tell you what, we are going to get into a bunch of things today. We're going to get into what's going on with COVID-19 life. We're going to get into the Olympics being postponed, ISL season, and whatever it is in NY20. We're going to get into a bunch of things. But first, we're going to have some lighthearted fun. And Luke's got a photo that he wants to show of Amy doing some weight room fun. Luke, what do you got for us?
So, I'm going to ask the guys to, in one word, describe what's going on in this photo.
Okay.
And then you're going to explain what's going on in this photo. So when I saw the photo on your social media, it was epic to me. So John, who teaches physiotherapy, who teaches weight training. John, what's your one word you see in this photo?
We'll say perseverance, I'd say.
All right, Justin. Justin's a man who's strength conditioning coach. He's a qualified. He teaches us all the time. He did 2 of these today, probably. Justin,
I did actually. Ouch.
Ouch. Brian.
Feel your pain.
Power pose.
I see hardcore. And so I'm going to go back and ask you why. John, why did you choose that word?
Perseverance is, hey, when I see, it's what we advocate a lot, especially in our rehab world. If we have someone that's injured, hey, there's almost something you can still do here, whether you're doing weight stuff or, hey, you're somewhere with shoulder pain. There's a lot of lower body stuff you can do. You can work on alignment. You can still make improvements here. So what I see here, Amy kind of working with what's going on, what she's got, doing a good front squat variation. If I do say so myself, I'm a big fan of front squats instead of back squats for swimmers, or maybe some split squats or rear elevated squats. Depth isn't bad. I'd like to get a little lower there, but hey, she's getting some good work in. And hey, like I said, she's persevering through whatever's going on with her hand there.
Justin, what about you?
Well, squats for me are tough. I like single one squats, but that I call that a zombie front squat, and you don't get that front rack position. So if you have your arms straight out, you're a gutsy individual, especially with the cast on. So my props to you. I mean, whoever can do that, I just give you my props. That's all I can say.
Power pose, because you're definitely squatting in front of a mirror and eyeing yourself, and who isn't motivated by the balance that comes from front squatting? I love front squatting too, by the way, but I've never front squatted arms out front like that, nor with an arm brace on. That's hardcore. But look at your face, focused.
Yeah.
That's why I said it's hardcore. Anybody's done front squats, what you grab the bar, you hold it in your shoulders, and you make sure you stabilize it, because that thing's going to roll off, especially for our swimmers. You're like, no, I'm just going to have it out there with my broken left arm.
She's got 90 there at the elbow. She's locking it in. It looks good.
It's held on her body over the clavicles and shoulders. That's perfect right there.
Did you lift it up like this? So
Amy, it was, yeah.
Have you ever really front squatted? Come on now. All right, continue, Amy. Sorry.
No, so I had broken my hand during meet warm-ups at the Clovis Pro Swim Series, and I was just super bummed because I was like, this is my first season as a pro, like I'm stoked, I'm like getting ready to rip it up. And then first meet of the season, like the day of the 100 back, I'm swimming, someone kind of jumps in, I get pushed in the lane line when I'm doing a fast backstroke stroke, my pinky gets caught, so when I pull, it just kind of separated off my hand on the bottom. And I just remember looking at my mom and be like, can you help me get my racing suit on? And then I did a 50 free on it, like dove in, and then it popped even more. So I was like, we should probably go to like urgent care now. And so I was in a hard cast, or like it was a brace, but I wasn't ever really supposed to take it off for 8 weeks. And I was trying to do as much lower body as I could because I couldn't really do much upper body. And I figured out a lot of lower body is also holding weights or doing stuff like that. So I had to get really innovative. And to be honest, I think those squats were probably the hardest variation of squats I've ever done. So we kind of kept them in the program even after I was able to like regular squat again, just because I felt my core so much more activated than just when my arms are crossed. But yeah, so I would just kind of get in, like lightly try to put the bar back with my hand, and then I would just put my arms out and step back. And the face of focus was because I was like, if this bar rolls down, I'm screwed. Like it can't roll down. That just wasn't an option. So
Amy, you told that same story to a couple of interviews already of how you broke it, and you probably told your coach that, your parents that. What really happened? Were you pulling a lane line? Were you doing back?
No.
Are you a pulling lane line kind of person? And you got
I'm not. No, I'm like the funniest thing is like I'm the biggest advocate for not pulling on lane lines. However, I have a strong history of like pinballing on backstroke. And I think breaking my hand was finally the last straw where I was like, okay, I really got to figure out what's going on in my stroke. And when I was kicking all summer, I think I realized I had a slight too far rotation on one of the sides that kept pushing me into the lane line. So actually, as much as it sucked to break my hand, it kind of fixed that part of my kick. So that was kind of nice.
No pulling on the lane
always
line.
something to work on.
Yeah,
I'm a big advocate of not kicking with a pull buoy on. It's the pet peeves of.
What do you mean,
Those are the worst
Brian?
kind of swimmers. The worst.
Brian, you don't put on like paddles, fins, snorkels, buoy, and fins all at the same time just to see what happens, and a parachute?
I just can't stand it when people are running their legs with a buoy. It's not the point. Well, what are some of the things? What are some of the things that stayed? So you mentioned like, okay, so that squat variation stayed as part of the program, but I heard you talking about how fit your legs got. And I mean, I remember one time when I was running cross country in high school and also swimming at the same time, my legs were so fit for that swimming season. What are some of the I mean, you've been through this a few times with the knee surgery and the wrist, and like, what are some of the things that you've picked up from those that have helped your overall fitness and your training program?
Yeah, I think definitely for me, I found out as an athlete, I don't need to be lifting a lot. I need to be doing kind of like the quick movements. So get enough to like put strain on my muscles and then try to do something explosive after and like translate it into more functional and athletic movements instead of just lifting heavy. I'm 6'3", so I have pretty long levers. So like squatting can put a lot of pressure on like my knees and stuff like that. So for me, it's been kind of keeping it more athletic in the gym instead of just really heavy weights, and also really making sure I'm warming up correctly, like doing a lot of mini band work before I do any lower body stuff, making sure all those like small muscles are getting ready to fire. And then I think another one of the main exercises that really got my legs in shape, which is such a simple thing, were step ups, like on a higher, like a box jump height. And those just like, I would be 10 reps in and I would look over at my trainer. I'd be like, are we sure we're doing 20 reps? Like, this is a lot.
Weighted with a barbell?
Yeah, with a weight vest on, because I couldn't hold anything.
Okay.
So I would like vest and then ankle weights. But yeah, it's just been challenging. And along with like your cross country thing, I played volleyball in high school, or I played volleyball from 9 years old to 16. So I had really, really strong legs at that point in my life. And I've kind of realized that even though I swim a lot and lift a lot, it's not the same as jumping, and that like the jumping and explosive strength. So trying to kind of put that back in. It was interesting. Kathy Durden, Dave's wife, she and I used to go play pickup sand volleyball with a couple people. And it was so interesting. I would do that for a couple months and I'd come back to swimming. Like I'd do that after the summer break, and I'd come back and my legs would just be so in shape. Any kick set, I was like, this is easy. So I think for me, just kind of staying in that like explosive realm.
Did it help you 100 back nationals? Because you're 100 back, when you came off that wall, you went in ahead of the turn, a little bit ahead, but you came off that wall, great turn, you popped up half a body length ahead. Did you feel a difference, or was that usual, Amy?
No, I was terrible at underwaters until college, and Terry was like, this is how college swimming is. So, like, we got to get good at this. And I think also when breaking my hand, all I could do was kick, and just kicking on your back got really boring. So we would throw in like underwater dolphin kick variations. And I was running with like a 25-pound weight, like held to my chest and like running on the bottom of the pool. Yeah. So my legs just got super strong. And it's so interesting that I used to hate that wall, that turn. I was like, this turn hurts so bad. But at the end of the summer, I was able to push off and be like, bye, like I got this. Like this feels so good. I felt so in shape. So that was really nice.
That's such a huge confidence builder. That actually sounds like Laird Hamilton and Gabby Reese kind of training. Have you seen anything of theirs? A lot of underwater training and in a pool training. It's pretty awesome. John, have you paid attention to any of their stuff?
Yeah, I did a little while ago. So yeah, they are certainly doing tons of lower body work and things like that. So it's interesting, and it's always fun to hear different cross-training things as someone who does a lot of strength and conditioning. We're getting tons of questions right now, what to do. And, Dr. Zaka put out a great study with D-training a while ago and how high-intensity stuff can really help out. And like Amy was saying, it's not just, lifting heavier weights. It's doing some more explosive stuff, more powerful stuff. I know down in Florida, I was talking with Matt Delancey. That's what, as he said, not many people have weights right now. So how else can we work some power, work some stress? We're still jumping. We're doing this. We're being powerful with it.
Well, let's bring it back to what are you doing right now? What's training like right now?
Every day I just get reminded of why I like to swim, because I can't see my sweat. I'm a big sweater. And so I have been biking. Like I got a spin bike at the beginning of this. When everything was like first starting and everything was closing, I went on Amazon and got like one of the last spin bikes on there. I was like, I need something.
Like what? Like a trainer or like a Peloton bike?
Not a Peloton. That's really expensive, but it was just yeah, it doesn't have a screen or anything, but it has a tracker, and then you can just play an app that like you're in the class. So it's kind of like my cheap version of it, but it works well. And so I've been doing that a lot. I tried running for a little bit, but I have a history of chronic stress fractures. So that started to kind of flare up again. So I was like, we'll pull back on that. My parents have a rowing machine, and I think that kicks my butt more than any other thing ever. It was funny. I was like, I was DMing a rower who went to Cal, and she had like said something like, "Oh, cool to see you rowing." And I'm like, I have so much respect for you. I was doing this for 5 minutes and was questioning everything about my life.
Yeah, but you would have been a good rower with your build, though, for sure.
I know. Yeah, that's what I've been told, but I don't know. My hands, I just don't like them all blistery like that. I don't think I could have done it.
You'll get used to it. It's like fins. Yeah. You'll adapt, right?
You'll build it up. 3 hands.
So just stuff like that. And I don't really have access to weights. I have like one 15-pound kettlebell. So just do like rep out a lot of bicep curls and switch shoulder presses, just kind of like the basic movements. And we have a pergola in our backyard that I have convinced my dad that it's semi okay that I do pull-ups on it and kind of break it out of the foundation a bit. But so it's just kind of like trying to be innovative. There's nothing like special I can do, unfortunately. I don't have access to a lot of things. But no, just trying to keep in shape. Yoga has really helped me. And I've noticed that in my swimming, even when I was swimming, I try to keep up with yoga just because it helped me stay flexible and kind of reduced my like injury likeliness as well. So that was nice.
Do you feel like you've gone through the period of, okay, so the Olympics got pushed out a year. I'm in reset mode. Let me ponder my life. Okay, I'm going to come back and swim for another year. And then, okay, so, but it's okay because I'm going to take a break for a little while and who knows, we'll come back in the pool soon. So no rush. Do you feel like you've kind of gone through that and are getting super antsy and now it's like, okay, I'm going to work out and grab all of the things that might be athletic and do them and be creative? Have you kind of come back around to antsy, wanting to train and do stuff?
Yeah, I think for the Olympic postponement, it was a really interesting time for me personally because I had a knee surgery in January, and going into it, the doctor was like, it's going to be super minor, 2 weeks, and you'll be good. However, we were functioning off my last MRI, which was September. And by the time they got in my knee in January, my recovery time became 4 months. And I had a lot, like I had just done so much more damage. And I knew it. I mean, every time I did a backstroke start during the ISL season, I could just feel it going and going. I like pulled up one day in practice and my leg just shot out from under me. And I was like, oh no, oh no, this is not good. So I was kind of in this stage where I was already super frustrated because I couldn't train like I wanted to. And about a week or two before the postponement I was finally doing my first full practices, kind of getting back in the weight room. Can't really do any weighted lower body, but could squat now without pain and that kind of thing. And I was like, oh, I was just so excited. I was like, okay, like I might have a chance this summer. When I came up from the knee surgery, I was like, oh God, do I just stop swimming now? Is it even worth it? And
sure.
I was like, you know what? I would totally regret down the road if I just didn't even try. Like I would be so mad at myself. So I was like, let's go full throttle into this. And then the postponement happened and I was like, is this a sign? Like I was just like, what the heck? Like this sucks. I had just gotten back in shape, and to think about being out of the water again for an extended amount of time and then getting back in shape, like I feel like once you're over 19 years old, it just is harder and harder every time you take like time off. And for me, I was just kind of at this point where I, for 2 weeks, was like, I'm retired, and like kind of telling myself like it was a good run. Like the ISL teams were reaching out to me. I was like, I think I'm done. Blah blah blah. And then I woke up one day and I was like, you know what? Like one more year, I can do it. The thing I was most afraid about is honestly getting injured again and having to face that. And I was like, that is a dumb way to live. That's a dumb way to function.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not swimming to get injured. Like none of my injuries have been on purpose. So if it happens, it happens. I'm hoping I finally get a season where I'm like totally healthy and can make it all work. So I've kind of come around to the idea that maybe this extra year is like the blessing in disguise. Yes, mentally it's way tough, but physically I have a whole nother year to rehab my knee and get that strength back and get that explosiveness back. So I think I have kind of come around. There's definitely days where I'm just laying there. I'm like, I would give anything to do 10 400s right now instead of getting on this stupid rower because I just can't anymore. Like get me back in the water. But I think I've definitely like come around to the point where I'm just super like excited to get back in the pool and like kind of angsty about not being in a pool. I'm just like, come on, like please, like I'll go in by myself. Someone just open the door. Come on. But that's not how it works. And I understand that. And the public's health is really important. I have a sister with an autoimmune disease, so I definitely have to take this serious. And so I know we're doing the right thing. I just want to be in the pool.
Yeah, that was my experience with knee surgery as well. I had one in college in my junior year at Auburn, and I mean, I had the same kind of things. You hear about like college football players at NFL that, yeah, they'll be back in 6 weeks. It's minor, and then like, no way. I wasn't at full strength for a full year, and mine was minor surgery. So, yeah, I mean, I think that sometimes those things they're just not automatic to where, yeah, you may get to 90%, but you're not going to really feel like you're at full strength right away. And that's just the nature of fixing a major part of the human body. But so are you involved now in any type of formal coaching or training, or are you just kind of writing it all?
No, I'm just kind of doing it all on my own and kind of picking up on like what other people are doing and be like, oh, I'll try that. Or honestly, the biggest coach I've had right now is that Peloton app. They have like 90 days free, and there's a ton of classes on there that are pretty tough. The dance cardio is underratedly tough. I've done that a couple times when I'm just like, I don't want to bike today. And I think it's cool because I'm a type of person where I like when someone tells me what to do. So I get like way more motivated when someone's like, do this, instead of I'm always having to come up with something. So some days I'm like, I'm going to write a good workout. And some days I'm like, I'm going to do a couple Pelotons today.
I've never done a Peloton class, but do you dance to it at all? Because I did Soul Cycle with John's wife, Carlene, once. And I mean, so I work for a bike company and I ride bikes a lot now. But so I'm used to riding it regular style. And then I go in a class like that, they want me out of the saddle and like dipping the shoulder and dancing to all this. But I've never seen Peloton, so I don't know. I've seen the commercials, but I don't know what it's all about.
Yeah, there's like a couple different versions. Some are just like biking, and then some are like you're doing hills in this class and like a HIIT workout, and some are like you're biking and like doing curls with like 2 pounds. So there's just a lot of variations. I would love to try to see you do the dance one, though. I think you need to take a little video and upload of that.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
You're a good dancer. I think, John, shouldn't Brian do it? Let's do it. Come on.
Totally should do it. I do Soul Cycle once a year on my wife's birthday, and that's where I'm good at with my dancing on the bike. But hey, I will say this, it's hard to not leave smiling when you're doing either just a regular dance class or like a Soul Cycle or one of those where you're getting going. But enough plugging them. I want to circle back to something that I work with a lot, which is injuries, because like we said, you've had a few pretty serious injuries, and like you were saying, the mental aspect of it all is a big thing. And that's something where our elite athletes, whether it's their first injury or their second, third, fourth time on an injury, that we do have to work on. What are some things that you're working on? Like you said, your mind was in a different place. You kind of came around. How did you get there, and what strategies are you using right now?
Yeah, I feel like for me, so I started getting like the chronic stress fractures in my legs my junior year of high school. And at that point I was like, oh, it's like, this is like one round of stress fractures. So pretty much every time I get a bout of stress fractures, I get 2 in my left leg, 1 in my right, consistently, typically the same spots every single time. And so that happened junior year and kind of went into senior year of high school. And by the time I got to college, I'm like, oh, this is like, it's gone. I beat it, it's gone. My legs are fine. And then throughout college, I got 12 more during my 4 years. And I think for me, it was just, couldn't. Yeah.
How many?
I've had 15 in my legs total.
Got it.
Yeah. And like
that's
in
recurring.
the same
Yeah,
spot.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
Was it all from running or all what?
I don't run. So that's,
okay.
This was like I think this was the most challenging thing about like my particular injuries is we didn't know why. Like we didn't know what was causing it. I went through a ton of different PTs in college, just honestly I was kind of burning through them from the mental side because there was a lot of PTs one PT in particular told me it was all mental. And I was pissed. I was like, look at
Done
the
with you.
MRI.
See you later.
Yeah,
nice to meet you.
I was like, if you
news.
look at the MRI, that is not mental. You can see it. And I think I was able to luckily get really good at noticing them early on and like starting to diagnose them when they were small rather than big. But for me mentally, it was tough because, I'd start to feel it and then I would have to pull back. No lower bodies. When I'm in the pool, I'm not kicking, I'm not pushing off walls. So I'm swimming with everyone. And then I get close to the wall, I flip and rise up to the surface and then start swimming. And that form of swimming sucks. I was lucky I could even be in the water. I was like grateful for that every day, but it was just super frustrating when you're just trying to do a 50 fast against your teammates and you're not even close. Like you're barely making the interval because you're swimming like a 10-year-old. And I think, yeah. And I've had to do that so many times in my career. But I think for me, once I was able to start understanding my injuries more and like I had an amazing PT, Christopher Prado out of Cal, and he was really sitting down with me and being like, let's see what is potentially causing this, and let's get you to understand what's happening, because he was always like, when I feel like people understand what's happening, it's easier to kind of wrap your mind around and go forward. So we kind of basically broke it down to, unfortunately, I'm tall. That's how my body's built. I have super tight calves all the time, so that we learned when my calves are always tight, it's pulling on that bone in that certain area, and just over and over pulling, like you're kicking, you're pushing off walls repeatedly. I don't have to be running, but my calves get so tight that that's what's causing it. And so once I started to learn it and understand it and learn how to like try to prevent it, like, unfortunately, it's kind of like I will probably forever get stress fractures if I'm going too hard and not taking care of my calves. But learning for me why it was happening, it was a lot easier to come around and try to problem solve instead of and like help prevent it, instead of always being in that catch up mode of not knowing what's going on, being super frustrated. And I think for all of my injuries, no matter what, I've had, when they've happened, like a good week where I'm just mad, where I'm just pissed. I'm like, this sucks. Like my senior year of college, I got the stress fracture bout right at the beginning, September to October, got out of my boot October 21st, broke my foot October 22nd. And I was just pissed at the world. I was like, this is my senior year. Like I've done so much, and I've just been lucky being able to have support systems around me that have been telling me like, it's okay, we'll find other ways to train. And I think for me, my body's been hurt multiple times, but every time it's been more of like a mental check than anything. You know, it's like your body will heal, that'll get there. And at the beginning of all of my injuries, was really bad at kind of feeling bad for myself and like getting stuck in that zone. But then I would get to like a week and a half, and I'm like, this isn't doing anything for anyone if I'm just sitting here feeling bad about myself. What can I do now that can make me better when I get back to the pool? So when I broke my hand, I was doing those weird squats. When I had my knee surgery, I was ripping out bicep curls, shoulder presses, trying to get better at pull-ups. It was just kind of working on different weaknesses I had in the pool. And even though I had a screaming weakness in front of me, whether it be a broken bone or a recent surgery, like I could work on other things that would help me be stronger in that area when I got back in the pool. So that for me was the biggest like takeaway from all of my injuries.
Hey Amy, you talk about your support system quite a lot, and you credit them as soon as they came out of the pool after winning the national title. And I mean, we all know that's the heroes of our sport, right? I would not be where I was if not for my parents and my friends and my coaches, right? The move to Scottsdale after Cal, there's an interview I saw, you talked about how it's so weird where you're hanging out with teenagers at a pool, and you're hanging out with your sister who's in their 30s, these old people in their 30s. But how refreshing it was to hang out with the relaxed age groupers who are just loving to race and just loving to get in the water and just love swimming, and how that really helped revitalize you. And we've talked about this a few times with George and Kavik and Kate Cadbury. How has that helped you now to relax, to like, you know what, it's just swimming, end of the day, the more important things is postponement. Have they helped? What's it like being with the team when you do interact with them with this postponement and your mindset?
Yeah, it was really funny, actually. It wasn't probably funny for them at the time, but we were sitting down in a room, and the coach was like, hey, like, I'm sure you guys saw the article that came out this morning, like the Olympics have been postponed. And this also was like a monsoon day in Arizona, so there was lightning outside. So we weren't getting in the pool no matter what. And all the kids were like super stoked about that, like lightning day. And I just remember them being like, so how long are we out of the pool? Like super excited about it. And I think for the first time, I was kind of like mad at them for that. And in the back, I was like, you know what, guys, like I'm taking another year out of my whole life. Like we shouldn't be excited to be sitting out of the pool. In a week, I guarantee you all will be itching to be back in the pool. Like you don't want this. And it was funny because my coach came up after and he's like, everything you said was cool. I get it. But these are 16-year-old kids. If you were 16 right now, you'd be stoked too. And I was like, yeah, you know, you're right. But I think it's no matter if it was that situation or another situation, they're always excited. Like whatever it is, they're so excited. And it's still, everything's kind of new to them. Swimming isn't really, you haven't been through like the college 4 years where it burns you down sometimes and it just gets really tough. Like they're still super excited. They're looking into what colleges to go to, all of that. So their mentality coming in every day is, it's so fun. I get to go to practice and hang with my friends. And for me, sometimes that's hard because I'm like, this is my job. Like I've got to train, but at the same time, they keep that perspective for me that I was like that. And that's the reason I fell in love with swimming. And that's the reason I still swim, you know, and it's nice to be able to connect with them. And before this all happened, they would be like, do you think I should get this? Like, do you like this prom dress? And I was just like, oh, like the fact that they were asking me if I liked the prom dress I just really liked that. And it's been nice to connect with like the younger generation in that sense and like be around them and help guide them in like the right direction.
That's what I feel of these guys.
Our young perspective. Yeah, I think so. Little did they know, right, that this was going to last for as long as it has, and look at all the things that it's having an impact on. Back to ISL, right? So, you know, we were all looking forward to, first of all, we enjoyed the heck out of watching you and the first season of ISL. And then here we are looking forward to what that's going to look like in year two, let alone what the Olympics is and how the Olympics would play onto the dynamics in the ISL, given that maybe it extends careers for people post-Olympics, and maybe it's the gateway to the next year's Worlds, and who knows, right? Especially for somebody perhaps like yourself who's kind of in that transition mode. But now we're seeing a different flavor out of what's coming in the season for ISL. And so I guess, what's your take on ISL season 2? And
yeah, so I think postponement ISL season 2, I was like, that is a lot of meets. Like, oh my goodness, I don't know.
Got the new teams and everything, yeah.
I was like, this is going to be wild. But now the format that it's potentially going to have, for me personally, I think it's really cool because all the athletes are going to be in the same spot. So you'll get to meet a lot of people and be around a lot of people. And in that sense, you're not just with your team all the time. So I think that'll be fun, but I'm excited to kind of, you know, be in like a training camp with people like that, because in my situation, I'm with like the younger kids and I train with like a couple other pros once a week. So I'm with people my age once a week, but I'll be with people my age and the elite people my age. And I think that's really exciting. I'm interested to see how like the weekend dual meets go, and just how that plays out. But I'm excited for it. I've like heard kind of rumors that they might be kind of trying to film a reality show during it. I don't know about that. We'll see. Yeah.
Well, what were some of the things? So let's assume that ISL season 2 was going to be a continuation of season 1. There's going to grow in a franchise, and you know they're going to build on the things that worked in season 1 and maybe bring some other things to season 2. What are some of the things from the athlete's perspective that that really worked in season 1, and what are some of the things that you would have liked to see? What are the opportunities to improve it?
Yeah, I think for me as a backstroker, I was a little biased because I think the schedule kind of screws backstrokers quite a bit if you're trying to be on relays, because they tend to be right before or right after. Yeah. So that's kind of a bummer.
And that meet moves like so quick.
So I can't tell you how hard that transition from the 4 free relay into the 2 back is. A 2 back is already the worst, and then having to do 100 free and go straight into that was pretty tough. But I think what worked really well is that they were so amazing at making it a production that fans want to go to, and for athletes to get excited. You know, they were middle of the season meets in October, and those normally are the worst. You know, you don't want to go to those. You're not going to swim very well, you think, but we'd go and we're like, oh my God, like I was so nervous at Dallas, the first one. I looked over at Farida and I was like, I'm kind of like really, really nervous, like shaking nervous. And she's like, bro, me too. Like, what's happening? So I think they did a really good job of like making the athletes want to swim fast and like bringing the fans into it. Something I think that they could maybe make better. I mean, there was just a lot of like travel kinks that we had to work out, but it was also like the first season. But for me, it wasn't really anything with the meet format. I think that it would be nice to add the skins of different strokes like they did and add the 100 IM. I think those were all amazing improvements. But to be honest, the format was kind of really great. I didn't see that many problems with it, besides like kind of the backstrokers throughout the meet kind of couldn't really do relays that well. And but I don't know, it was really fun. People kept asking me to describe it, and the best way I can say it is like a dual meet vibe, but with the NCAA energy. So like you have a full crowd, everyone's like wanting you to swim fast, but you're like, oh my gosh, like it's a dual meet with like the best in the world. So it'd be like you're like arch nemesis rival meet with just everyone in the stands. I don't know. It was really fun. And I hope they bring that DJ back because he was the funniest person and most entertaining person. When he like would spin it behind his back, I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Yeah. That was really fun.
It's that's a hard energy to describe for, especially to like European swimmers that didn't grow up in the NCAA or college system and to understand what it's like. For those of us who experience the on deck environment at a big conference meet or NCAAs, that's a type of energy in the air that you don't feel at other swim meets, including international meets. It's just different. Which is so cool to see. But the cooler thing to me about ISL was the fact that the participation rate from the elite swimmers in the world was so high. Yeah. And at one point, I mean, I think they did a good job of sharing a graphic about this. It was like 75% of Olympic medalists from whatever, like recent years, were participating in this forum. And I was excited to see the league expand. I'm wondering what impact season 2 and the format will have on that participation, or if we're just going to see kind of, a pause and then we kind of retract for a bit along with the economy, and then we come back with a bang in 2021.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think a lot of the participation rate, honestly, is going to be based on where it's held. I could see if it's in Australia, I think you'll have a lot more people wanting to do it. Just because you get to go to Australia for 4 to 5 weeks, and they've done a lot with allowing or having the potential for your home coach to go. So they're doing a lot to like keep that participation rate hopefully high. But I do think a lot of it at this point is kind of riding on the venue. So
I heard that. I mean, we all love the skins. It was so exciting. It was fantastic, and it was exciting to see how the athletes were in between the races, not just how they raced. It's like what each one did. Nathan would be on deck, and he would be one way. Whereas, they're all different. I heard they're looking at doing stroke skins. Mm-hmm. So like a 350s in 6 minutes. How do you feel about that? Backstroke.
Oh. So for me, skins is like, if I make it past round 1, I'm so confident.
Yeah.
Because I can keep going at that 50 pace. It's just a lot of those girls will have a really, really good one and then kind of die out. So for me, it's kind of getting my hand, punch it in on that first one. And when we did shootouts at the Pro Swim Series, I think that's back when they were like Grand Prix, we used to do shootouts, and I could make it through a couple rounds with the backstroke. So I'm excited about that. I think
you'd rather backstroke over freestyle if your coaches put you up. You rather skins backstroke or skins freestyle for you?
Backstroke. I think I have more endurance backstroke wise. I think I could keep going longer.
If you were going to change, so we've been talking about gamifying it, right? Because there's so much. So, I mean, from the viewer's perspective, I'm sure you've heard this a lot about like what makes it really fun to watch. And I mean, yeah, the show of it is fun. But I think having the exact same event lineup as the rest of other meets that we watch and see is kind of okay. But the skins is magical because it's just like practice. But it's with the best swimmers in the world who never trained together for the most part, right? So I'm just wondering, so I would be excited about backstroke skins and all the strokes, but we've just been talking about like what other ways to gamify it so that there's drama to it. Is there anything that comes to mind for you that you'd go, wow, we could totally do this and it would be fun to watch, and it's not, it's like that movie Swim Fan where they had 150 freestyle in the like it meant nothing. So I'm just curious if you had any ideas on that.
I think, to be honest, they need to do a 4x25 relay, just because that would be insane. And everyone kind of comes to those meets for skins. Like everyone loves skins. At the end of that, like all the fans are like skins. Like it just gets wild in there when skins happen. And I think the relays are really fun too, but just like shortening up the format. Unfortunately for distance swimmers, a lot of fans like the shorter events and like the more like in your face exciting events. So I think a 4x25 relay would just be insane. And then you start throwing like 4x25 like mixed like gender, and I just think you can have a lot of combinations. That would be really fun.
Big time. And I think you're nailing it. And that's kind of Brian said, we loved the ISL. I mean, we're swim nerds, so we was going for it. And we were like, all right, we need more skins. We need more this. And back to what you said, after you get through that first round, you think you'd be very confident there. So what type of blood lactate do you think you'd be having at the end of those skins? And are you familiar with where you usually are if you're really pushing it hard?
No, I don't know the numbers or anything, but I can definitely feel it in the gut. And I think for me, it's really how many hours after it I still feel like I'm gonna vomit. That's typically my cue. And I think I think round 2 I'd be like, all right, I've got a 25 in me. And then I think in round 3, pushing off that 25 wall, I would kind of regret anything I'd put in my stomach the past 24 hours. So I think my lactate would be pretty high. But I'm pretty generally good at getting it down quick in the warm down pool. So
who impressed you most of who handled the skins? Was it Sarah on the last one? She breathed every stroke the first 25, then held her breath for the last 25. Was it Vlad? Was it Florent? Who impressed you the most how they handled this? Because those impressive swims, man.
Caleb? Yeah. Caleb, the guy that won?
Yeah. No, okay. No, for me.
Or we know Caleb was going to win, so who's not impressed?
Right.
No. Renomi.
Yeah.
If she would have been at the final, she would have won.
Yeah.
Renomi, no one could touch her. I mean, she would get through round 1 and then make everyone look like she would make the best sprinters in the world on that last one look like age group swimmers. She's wildly good at that race or skins. And every time she got on the block, I was just like, she's just so impressive. I was like, thank God I'm not up there. Like, you go, girl, like go get them. But for me, honestly, she was the most impressive skin swimmer because at the beginning of the season, I never would have thought. Like, I know she's an amazing sprinter, but I just never would have thought she would have been that great at skins.
Yeah, it's funny how 200 and skins don't really correlate at all. Because like you said, with her, I've never seen her do a 200 ever, barely even 100, I feel like, and she's doing well in the skins.
Crushing
it's like Emma McKeon was doing really well in some of them too, which was a surprise to me. But were there any swimmers that, especially on other teams or something, that you had never met or connected before that suddenly you got to see and meet on a pool deck and now you're buddies?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm really buddies with her, but Minna Atherton and I, we raced all the time. We were in the same group. But no, she's really cool and she's such a sweet girl. And I had no idea who she was before these meets. I wasn't really brushed up on the up and coming Australian backstroker. And I remember racing her. Kathleen and I went and I was like, oh, Kathleen, let's go. We got this. And then Kathleen and I saw her time when we finished. We were like, who is that? Oh my God. But no, yeah, she's awesome. And then I don't know. It was just really cool being around the other teams. And to be honest, I wasn't all that close. A lot of Cal swimmers were on LA, but I wasn't super close with a lot of the other guys. So it was really cool getting close to Annie Laser and Bailey Anderson. And I'm really close with them now. So I was thankful for that.
Yeah, I wonder about the affiliations. It's almost like you got the LA team is California West Coast with the Auburn coaches, and then you've got the Cali Condors is Florida plus some other American, and you got the 2 American teams, and then so I don't know. I'm just going to these dynamics. Do you think it'd be better if it was a really better melting pot of each team?
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, Energy Standard kind of shows that the best way. There needs to be some form of lottery draft system, or you're gonna just keep getting these same teams in the finals all the time. And I think what I think this next season is going to show is some people are branching away from the team that you may have thought they would be on and going to other teams for new opportunities and new challenges. But I do think you're going to get a lot of the teams from last year looking kind of the same, especially the ones who went to the finals.
You mean you didn't already get the LA Current tattoo?
On the cheek, right? Everyone gets their tattoos on their cheek. That's what
I know.
Talking about with Katie.
I know. I just don't know if I'll be repping blue this year.
That's breaking news. One of the things we've been commenting about is, okay, so you're building all of these new teams up from nothing. So trying to build an affiliation around them is, you got to start somewhere, right? Fandom is a complicated thing, but it starts somewhere, and usually it starts with an affiliation with your social group.
Right.
But nobody had the social group associated with the LA Current. So, fandom's got to be created sort of out of nothing. I think I'm just curious about, the affiliations of the name and the team, and if that's got any meaning. It seems to me like it would be valuable for the ISL to start to tie that together more, like to build a camaraderie with your home pool or your home club or the team training together. It's like, and swimming's inherently different because, we're so used to not being in peak form for an entire several month period. Right. We're used to the training as the slog, and then you build up for 6 months or 4 years into the one thing, right? So, yeah, I'm just, I don't know, any thoughts on how that kind of plays into it and how they've created these teams around the city-ish?
Yeah, to be honest, I think it was hard because the meets that I went to in America were Dallas and DC for the Derby. And it was blatantly clear at the Derby, DC was like the home team, the home favorite. And I thought that was really interesting because in Dallas, it was kind of LA was the home favorite, but everyone in Texas was like, what, California, what? So I think it was cool going to kind of the States. And like when we went to Budapest, Team Iron was like lights out. Everyone was like, ah! Like it was crazy. So
Big
for teams like
there, that's for sure.
Insane. So in situations like that, I think those teams were able to really connect with the fans, which was awesome. But when say like we didn't go to LA and Cali didn't go to San Francisco, it makes it a little tough. But I think it would kind of be cool if you got. I remember Ryan talking about it. Ryan Held wanted a team out of Chicago so bad because he loves the Bulls. And he's like, what if we got like the Bulls to like wear our swim caps and we wore their jerseys when we walked out? And like, but to be honest, like kind of a wild idea, but that would work really well because then you're starting to create more of like, these are our Chicago teams and like, swimming, we have a team now. So I think we just need to find other sports to kind of bring us into that sport fandom of that city. And I think that would be the best method. I don't know how they could do that. I don't have a way. I just think that's the best approach to go about it.
Well, so yeah, and you've seen that, and that's how the WNBA started.
Yeah,
right? So they're affiliated with all the NBA programs and playing out of the same cities, and most of them with the same color schemes. They're not exactly the same, but they're close, right? And so, I mean, the natural place to start with that in the U.S. would be affiliated with college swimming programs in towns. So I'm surprised. I was surprised to see a New York team, and I feel like, again, I don't really get it, but I mean, I think the DC has a good following. They're associated with North Baltimore and Curl Burke, and on the West Coast, the LA, it's like, okay, this is we swim at Mission Viejo's home pool or something, you know what I mean, or like Irvine. There's some opportunities for that. That's the way that I might take it if I were going that route. But I'm with you. I think that it needs to be associated with some presence of team. And in the U.S., that's probably club or college swimming.
100%. Yeah, it's interesting.
I was just going to say it also to appeal to the American audience. Believe it or not, Amy, I'm not from America. I know you have no idea that, right?
Say Derby, then we'll all understand.
Yeah, use derbies. You see? What I was going to say is that, Americans are really, really good at taking their sports and making it really palatable and enjoyable to the live audience and on-air audience as well. Look at baseball. You got a 3-hour game that is really, really slow and chilled. But what they do at every half inning is there's some game, there's some announcement, there's a lot of entertainment for it. So people go there and they enjoy that almost as much as they enjoy the game to the non-fans. And so when the European organizers are organizing the ISL, what we did have a comment that we did find some of the breaks were a bit too long, right, guys? Some of the TV breaks were a bit too long. What was it like in terms of the fans in between the events? The DJ was there hyping them up, but was that enough for the fans, or would you have liked to have seen like more on deck? Do you think they wanted more on deck interviews or just some games they had or interaction? But next thing you know, you and Katie up in the stands talking to one of the fans, doing some fun stuff like that. Did you see more place for that?
Yeah, no, I definitely. I think just like in basketball games, like anytime there's a break, there needs to be something for the fans to keep them involved, keep them engaged, and music isn't always just going to cut it. I know a couple times we tried, I think at Budapest there was like a talent game, like, can you spin this kickboard on your finger for 10 seconds? And yeah, that was cool, but I think we like only did that at Budapest, so just we have to do that more and more. Felipe Lima is so good at it. He would just sit there for like 30 seconds doing it. But so stuff like that. And then we would throw t-shirts sometimes into the crowd. But I definitely think it's hard for the swimmers to be engaged because the meet goes so quickly that for someone like me, the breaks are literally, I'm the last event and then the first event. So the break is all the time I have. I can't go connect with fans. But I think there has to be more of an emphasis on if you're a skins only swimmer, like at that first break, you really need to be trying to like participate with the crowd and basically just really finding the swimmers who have that break and can utilize it to like connect and go talk with the fans or like do a fun little game.
Or bring back the legends, you know, like in Rio, Clem was there, Borges was there. We had all the legends of the sport. We were in the crowd. Bring the legends into the sport. Next thing you know, Giant Evans is sitting down and interviewing somebody. It's cool.
You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, they still got to figure out what their target audience is. Is it the swim nerds that know who those people are, or is it the general audience? I think if they nail that, then come up with some more branding things or some branding consistencies like you guys all mentioned, it'd help out a lot.
Well, so I want to turn it back to what's really the big thing for the next year, and that's the 2020 Olympics and 2021. So, you know, you've come through a trials where you knocked on the door so close to the team. And I mean, nobody else needs to tell you, but, you know, I understand that that's playing in your mind, but also you were coming into a year where you're stoked on the way that you came out of your fall post knee surgery into the spring, and then with a setback of a hand injury, you still had a really strong summer off of that. So, I mean, you've got a lot to look forward to for the coming year. So, but taking your previous trials experiences and the experiences you've had from building on the national championship last summer and so many of these positive things and controlling what you can control, what do you think is what's on your mind in terms of how to make the team and how to, you know, how to make it to Tokyo next summer?
I think for me, the biggest thing is confidence in myself. Like I put in the hard work, I train really tough, and I feel like I prepare well. It's when I get to that moment, I need to have the confidence in myself. And in 2016, I think I looked for confidence from external sources and wanted like my coach to reaffirm all the time, like, you've got this, you've got this, you've got this. And I remember, I think the most powerful moment I had at trials is before finals of that 100 back. I looked at myself in the hotel mirror and I was like, tonight you're going to become an Olympian. Like, this is your night. And I like fully believed that. And as the session kind of went on, I was like super excited. Like I had it, I felt it within me. And when I finished and got third, which I do not recommend, I got out of the pool and a lot of people came up to me and were just like, you should, like, no one thought you were going to be that close. You should be so happy with that swim. And for me, that was the toughest pill to swallow because I believed I could I could make that team like that. I was like, I've got this, locked it down. So that was probably the hardest struggle for me coming out of trials, was I felt like I was so confident in myself, but not many people were confident in me. And that kind of like stuck with me and made me doubt myself for a couple seasons after that. And I think now it's just really solidifying that it does not matter where other people think I'm going to finish. Like I need to go out there and have all the confidence in myself and like really show that I like work hard and all that hard work is there. And like, I'm prepared and just let it rip at that moment in time. So to be honest, for me, it's less thinking and just being confident and just kind of like walking that walk and not even thinking about what other people are saying.
Yeah, you can't control what other people are doing. And one of the things that's so cool about you is the versatility that you have too, and the ability to, I mean, I don't know. I think it'd be so cool. And I mean, we just met, but I think it'd be so rad if suddenly there was a surprise, right? And you made the team in the 100 free. And, you know, you just showed up next summer. I mean, maybe that might be a surprise to somebody like me, but probably not you, right? Because, you know, I think that that's the best way to control what's between your ears. And as long as you're confident there, you're going to get the best out of yourself. And that's really motivating to hear. So we did have a question from the audience. So I wanted to move it over to Justin to share what we had.
Yeah, we have a question from the audience. I'm going to post it right here for Amy. It's from Sandeep. What do you think is the main thing for swimming? Is it mental? If yes, then how do I train my mind?
Yeah, I think swimming is both physical and mental. I mean, a lot of people say it's 90% mental, 10% physical. I think swimming's a little more than 10% physical, but the mental game, I think it's something that you build and get stronger every day. Like you can't just show up to a meet and be like, I'm going to be confident in myself and I'm going to talk positively to myself. To train that every single day when you're at practice, a second a negative thought comes into your mind, you need to be like, well, here's 3 positive thoughts. Like you need to be able to switch that mindset, and it will help the physical part of your swimming. You know, if that mental part is slacking, it's going to, no matter how physically amazing you are at swimming, it's going to hinder that in some way. So you need to be training those muscles day in and day out, and just really being confident in yourself, talking positively to yourself. And to be honest, once you leave the pool deck, kind of just leave the pool deck, like leave the swimming at the pool. And I think for me, that's the best way for me to come back mentally recharged the next day.
Awesome. So, Amy, I wanted to change gears a little bit, and we're going to play a little game. So we're going to play some rapid fire, and we're going to do today's rapid fire in 2 phases. So we're just going to go quick, whatever first comes to your mind. You ready to go?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. What's the hardest race in swimming?
2 back.
Especially long course. What's your go-to pre-race meal?
Hard-boiled eggs and some oatmeal.
Which ISL team has the worst mascot?
I don't know the new ones this year, but I don't know. Like Energy Standard, I don't know what they are. They don't have a mascot.
Yeah, what is the standard? That's not fair. Like what is the tree? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't understand them.
Okay. What's the best place to get tacos in Scottsdale?
Oh, Tacos Blancos is pretty good. I love that place.
Desert Island, you only get to bring 1 pet. Is it Potter or Luke?
It's Luke. You know, Luke's the OG. He's the OG. Luke has lived in every state I've lived in. I've had him since I was in 5th grade. You know, Potter's new. He's awesome. He gets it, but he knows he knows he has work to catch up. You know.
Okay, so in 2014, this is phase 2. In 2014, as a senior in high school, you were on the morning swim show, and they asked you 5 rapid fire questions. I'm going to read you the same questions, including your answer, and we're going to get your updated answer.
I'm terrified for this.
In my best Jeff Cummings impression, if you could trade lives with any swimming celebrity for a day, who would it be? And in 2014, Amy said, Nathan Adrian. Quote, I feel like he just lives a really nice lifestyle. So, Amy, which swimming celebrity would you be for a day?
You know, I know her now pretty well, but I think I'd be Natalie Coughlin. She's just got a lot going on, and she's pretty cool. And I could like be a businesswoman and a mom, and still like look great and all of that. But Nathan does live a pretty cool life, so I'm not mad at my 2014 answer.
All right, 2. Who was a non-swimming celebrity that you'd like to trade lives with for one day? And in 2014, you said Blake Lively because, quote, I really like her. She's an awesome person.
Good high school.
So which non-swimming celebrity would you like to trade lives with for a day?
We need to delete this interview from like the internet. 2014 needs to go. Oh, gosh, I think I would probably be Chrissy Teigen for a day. You know, she just kind of just says what she wants and just does not care. So
and she's got a book and a cool life. Yeah, she's
yeah.
All right.
Married to John Legend, right? All good.
Yeah, he can write me a song in that day. It'll be perfect.
From Dayton, Ohio. Keep it up, John.
Besides this current year, which was 2014, what's the year of your life that you'd like to relive? And you said 2012, quote, that was a great year.
Good answer.
At 13, I was really peaking, I guess, at 13. I would probably want to relive my senior year of college. Wouldn't change much, but it was just a really fun year.
Jeff said, "What's your favorite movie?" And you said, "A Knight's Tale." To which Jeff said, "Okay."
Is highly unimpressed.
Yeah.
Highly unimpressed.
What's your favorite movie?
A Knight's Tale is still up there. Definitely. That's so tough. I go to the movies all the time, so there's a lot of ones that switch around. But I love documentaries and movies like that. But Spotlight was really good. That one. I don't know if you guys know that one, but I thought it was really good.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, Spotlight's
It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
Knight's Tale is good too, though. I can't argue.
Yeah,
with that. Maybe not my favorite, but
I feel like
good.
pumped up though. Like if I watch A Knight's Tale, I'm like, all right, let's go.
Okay, and the last one was, "What's your favorite season?" And you, as a senior in high school, said fall for sure.
Fall?
Fall for sure.
Oh,
In
definitely
Indiana?
not.
I guess fall's
Yeah.
pretty nice in Indiana.
Yeah, I guess
Perspective
it
of
was
the
probably
Midwest,
least,
right?
Yeah, I guess it was probably like the least humid of the seasons.
Exactly.
No, I really like summer. Although in Arizona sometimes it's a little too summer. But other than that, yeah, summer.
Nice job. Good job recounting 2014 high school, Amy. And that's it. You're off the hot seat. Nice.
Thank you.
All right. So I think, oh, yeah, we had another audience question if we wanted to go back to it.
Yeah, sure. So we had a question. I think someone was questioning, how is it really 90% mental? I'm assuming that's mental. And I was wondering this too. That's a pretty high amount mental.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You don't have to comment much more on it here, but I think that surprised a few of our audience members there that it was that much mental.
Yeah, I think in that aspect, that 10% physical needs to be an amazing 10%, but the 90% mental is if you can be in the best shape in your life and you get behind the block and you think the person next to you is going to beat you because you're not confident in yourself, you've already given up the race. So I think that's the 90% mental. You can work as hard as you can in the pool, but if you get up there and you're not believing in yourself, you've already lost.
So I think Yogi Berra said it best when he said 90% is mental and the other half is physical.
Yeah, I like that one.
That's the best one. So Amy, thanks so much for being on the show. It's been a pleasure having you. I think it's a good place to end it. Where can people find you? Where can we follow you? And what? Yeah.
Yeah, just at Amy Bilquist on Instagram, on Twitter, LinkedIn. If you're looking to hire me and follow 2021, yeah. Typically Amy Bilquist everywhere though.
All right. Well, thanks so much for being here. It's been a pleasure. That's it for the Social Kick podcast. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back here again on Monday at 6:45 with Dylan Carter. And have a good weekend, everybody. We'll see you.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Okay.